Hey everybody, this is Mike Bono from the North Andover Athletic Association, and you are listening to the Nightly News Podcast, the show that brings you inside the lines of North Andover High School athletics. All right, welcome back to the Nightly News Podcast, everybody. Al, how you doing?
Good, how are you, Mike?
I'm doing well. So now, when this airs, we will be less than a week away from the Knights on the Run road race and kids run, October 8th. Saturday, October 8th at the high school.
Yep.
Register, still time to register, naknights.org and...
Or knightsrun5k.com.
There you go. We have another very special guest with us today, head track and field coach at Merrimack College, Mark Conley. Mark, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you. So this is our second college coach. We had the Babson baseball coach on a few weeks ago. It's always good to sort of get the perspective from some college coaches, but one of the real reasons why we asked Mark to join is he also helps out with the Knights on the Run kids run, gets all the kids all amped up, and we'll talk about that. But we just want to get to know you a little bit before we get into that.
Great.
All right. Like I said, fact check me if I say anything that's incorrect. You just gotta tell me.
I will listen.
So you joined. You joined in 2010 as Merrimack, right?
It was January 2011 when we started the track team.
Okay.
So that was our first season.
And was it a club at the time?
There was no track and field. There was a cross-country team, and Chris Cameron has been with us 32 years, I believe, as the head cross-country coach. And we started track and field in January of They got home from Christmas break, they got back to school, and we had a track team.
Okay.
And that year, I'm very proud to say, it's kind of like U2. We went to New England and scored in my station wagon.
Wow.
So I brought 4 athletes with me, and we went to the New England Championship that year. Now we bring a bus to the New England Championships, and when we go to a regular meet, we bring 3 buses.
That was only 2010. You're making it sound like it was like 1983.
It goes quickly, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. So you mentioned Chris Cameron. I mean, he's been there 32 years. Coach Mahale has been there 39 years. Coach Martone has been there 41 years. You have a ways to go to catch up to them. Like, what is it about Merrimack College that, it must be a great place to work.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to have that tradition.
Yeah.
That there are some people that are there a long time.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's great. So you graduated from Holy Cross.
Yes.
We don't have to talk about the year. And you ran track there.
I did.
You ran track. What was your
Well, our
event?
listeners are probably mostly from North Andover, and I am from the other Andover, but you'll be pleased to hear I didn't go to the public schools there.
Okay.
There you go.
Good.
So I went to Austin Prep.
Gotcha.
And yeah, I ran long sprints.
Okay.
I tell people I just wasn't good looking enough to win the 400. So I would just keep sprinting. And we had an event back then that the kids would not know about, but it was called the 600 yards. And that was the thing I scored in New England's end. That was my best event because I wasn't really faster than you, but I could handle the pain a little better than you. I mean, those other 3 guys were definitely better than me.
So what led you to Merrimack?
Well, it's an interesting personal story. My wife had a very successful career going. So my okay career at Vicor Corporation wasn't really necessary anymore. So then what do we do? And my wife and I both thought I should do something to help people. So I was volunteering, and I was on the board of the Andover A Better Chance House, doing some work there. And a friend asked me to come coach sprints at Lynn English High School. And there was for several reasons, he left, and then I became the head coach. Well, I was never the head coach, but I was the only coach. There was a history teacher who was the head coach, but didn't come to the meets. And I just had a great time working with those kids, and that was volunteering. But then a friend of mine was offered the position, a guy who was good friends with Chris Cameron, Matt Pimentel, was asked to start a track team at Merrimack. And he was a distance runner, also a Clemson guy. And he asked me to do the sprints. So it was just a better opportunity. So it's great that my wife is still doing well in her career, because being a college track coach, it would be hard to live on it, but it's going great. Yeah. So that's how I ended up there.
So it started in 2011, right? The program, and just in 12 or 11 or 12 years, you're Division Two, and now it's transitioning to Division One. I mean, I guess you guys are Division One, right? And next year it'll be full-fledged NEC. Do I have that right?
Correct. Well, the NEC, so for track.
NEC, Northeast Conference, for those
Yes.
who is what Merrimack is in.
Right. So for track and field and swimming, we do not displace someone going to the nationals. So we've been allowed to go into our conference meet from the beginning.
Okay.
This year, we've just been allowed by the NEC to participate in conference meets, but we may not go on to NCAA championships. And that's true for us and swimming as well. But
When would that change? Is there a date?
yeah, it's a 4-year probation.
Okay.
I guess Duke basketball was really nervous about what Coach Gallo was putting on the floor, so they've got this rule. If you change divisions in either direction, you must sit out for 4 years from going to NCAAs. And it probably has everything to do with how much money there is in basketball.
Sure. Quick run. Can you give us a quick rundown on who else is in the NEC? Who do you compete against in your
Well,
conference?
Stonehill has just joined us. So
Another one moving from Division Two to Division
yes,
One.
they just moved from Division 2 to Division 1, and they're in the Northeast Conference with us. Bryant used to be, but they just left, went to America East. Then we have Central Connecticut. We've got Sacred Heart. There's a St. Joseph's College in Brooklyn. There's Wagner College, Fairleigh Dickinson University. There's a St. Francis University out in western Pennsylvania. And Mount St. Mary just left. I think that covers it.
Yeah. So as you transitioned from Division Two to Division One, can you talk a little bit about the recruiting process and how that's changed? I don't know. Do you get scholarships for track and field? Like how that all works?
Yeah, there are scholarships. So Division 2 was a pretty great place for us.
Yeah.
Division 2 has a national championship, and it was very fun to start going to and then doing well, individuals doing well at the Division 2 national championship. I can't imagine us doing it seems impossible that we'll have an athlete in the Division 1 national championship. It's an international U24 meet, and it's just such fantastic athletes. That said, the athlete that will be going into our Hall of Fame, or will have just been put into our Hall of Fame when people hear this, Carly Muscaro, was a fantastic athlete who became a professional. And she would have been third at Division 1 nationals. So it is possible, but it's highly unlikely that we'll see an athlete of that caliber again.
Which event did Carly do?
She ran the 400 meters. She actually was the Division 2 champ in the 200 and the 400,
Impressive.
indoors and out.
Wow.
And was named the Division 2 athlete of the year across all sports. So she was very fantastic. And that was part of our Division 2 fun. I was, from her freshman year, which was 2014, until we left Division 2 in 2019, I got to go to all the Division 2 national championships, indoors and out.
Nice.
The 1 year that was kind of fun, in 2019 indoors, none of my athletes qualified. But my son went with the distance medley relay team from Stonehill. So I got to go to the meet as a parent.
Nice.
So I went to all those meets. And then I had 2 athletes qualify for outdoors. So I loved Division 2. Mm-hmm. I was skeptical about the move to Division 1. I didn't see who it was going to benefit, because certainly it looked like it would be good for the president of the college and for the athletic director, because they would both now be part of a bigger thing. But I didn't see how it was going to help our athletes. And after the move, I have to say my skepticism was misplaced. It's great. In track and field, we get to go to whatever meet we want to, other than our conference meet. And the NE10, the Division 2 meet that we were in, was very quality meet. Southern Connecticut often wins the New England Championship. So they were in our conference, and we were second to them in our last outdoor conference championship. Moving to the NEC, there's a few teams that are a little bit better than us. We were not second when we joined it, but our men's soccer and our men's basketball both would have won the conference if they were allowed to that first year. So I really felt like the move did not hurt anyone. And, Stonehill's now joining us, so that's a lot of fun. And, the football team, it's so exciting to see them playing real schools that you know about.
Harvard.
And they're right in there.
They almost beat them.
They scared Harvard. Man, that's just so exciting.
Yeah.
So the whole campus is abuzz, and I'm very happy that we went to Division I. We're handling it well.
So families from North Andover sort of listen to this, and athletes, and you know that North Andover has a big it's a running town, right? Like a big cross country and track and field. What's the recruit like? How do you find kids at the Division I level now?
Yes.
I mean, it's pretty objective, right? I mean, they run a time, and that's the time, as opposed to the subjectivity of a
basketball player or something.
it's the subjectivity of other sports. I'm sure there's more to it, but just can you talk a little bit about how the recruiting process works?
Yeah, I mean, I'll answer you as advice that maybe if people are listening and they have a child who might want to go to college and do a sport, this advice might be valuable. So demonstrated interest is a huge thing. The kids are all on social media, and I think that they might not get who's looking at or not looking at their social media. I'll have recruits send me their Twitter handle, and I'm not going to follow a teenager's Twitter handle. I don't have time for that. I'm not sure what's going to be on there, and I'm not interested. But if you send me an email, I will look at it, and I'll consider you. I, like many of the Division I and even Division II coaches, will have a set of recruit guidelines that we're looking at, and my athletic director has a number of roster spots that I may use. So right now the team is very large, and my next year's recruiting class will not be as big as the recruiting class I have this year. So Chris and I are both trying to figure out how many athletes we need for our different event groups. But I think I'm going to get 3 male sprinters, 1 male pole vaulter. Now, if there's 2 great ones that want to come, I'll get them both. But I have a set of recruit guidelines, and if an athlete is better than that, I'm going after them right away. If they're close but not there, I'll say, I would like to recruit you, but I'm not sure if I'm going to have a spot for you. And I tell them that because I want them to keep looking. Our goal is to enhance the college experience of the athletes on our team. We don't want anyone to feel misled or uncomfortable about the process. So we're trying to help those kids figure out what they should be doing. And as a D1 school, I'm trying to compete at that conference championship. So I'm hoping I'll find athletes who are going to get there.
Right. It's interesting that you said we've had 2 college coaches on here. And for those parents and kids out there, both coaches said the exact same thing. Reach out to us with an email. Show that you're interested in our school, because we can't look at everybody and we're not out looking for you per se. But you send us an email and, that gets our attention. And I think that's something I didn't think of when my daughter was looking into going to college. I didn't know, and I would have liked to have known that.
Absolutely. And there are services that I don't know if they sell their stuff, but there are multiple services that would like to put together a
market your kid, so to speak.
Market your kid. And I would discourage people from joining them, because you can do it. You do a better job by yourself going for a direct contact with the coach, because I'm a human being and I have limited time in my life. Right. And if you show that you're interested by sending me an email, I know that you are interested. The same is true for admissions. This is a sports show, but if you want to go to a certain college, you need to let the admissions officers know that you care about that college. They can figure out by the contact which ones are your safety school. So, if you're interested in me, then I'm going to put the effort in you. I do have the advantage of looking at your times or distances or, heights. Yeah. So it's so much easier than my peers, because they have to go see you play. And I can get to know who you are by what you've done.
You do, so it's indoor and outdoor. It just goes from one season to the other, just flows right through, right? I think I looked at the schedule from last year. It started in the beginning of December.
Yes.
And then you just kind of go indoor, and then you get to the spring and everything moves outdoors. So within the last couple of years, Merrimack built a new facility, right? Merrimack Stadium, is that, or did they?
It's called Duane Stadium.
Duane Stadium, okay. Prior to that, you all were coming over to North Andover High School. We saw them out there, right, running at the high school. And so just talk about, I mean, obviously that's a huge relief, improvement. Talk about the new facility, like how that.
No,
plays
I
into
got to back
recruiting.
up and talk about North Andover High.
Okay.
Because December of 2010, my friend Matt and I are asked to start a college track team. That's all. They
But we
weren't
don't
given
have-
anything.
But we don't have a track.
I don't even know how much budget there was, but you don't have a track. So we invited anyone on campus who wants to do track to please show up in the gym for a tryout. And the tryout was showing up at the gym. They all made the team.
Yeah.
And of course, the cross country athletes were doing it, but there's a lot more in track and field than just the distance running. North Andover High was so generous, and the people of North Andover, thank you so much. Dell and Coach Nugent were just wonderful. The NCAA will not allow me to be at a high school practice. So we never attended practice, but we would know when they were coming off and we would step on. And we watched them build that firehouse. And, we would put our cars on that little road and try and shoot light up there. I appreciate how windy it is on that track. I've been on a lot of tracks, but that's one of the windiest.
windy, yeah.
I used to tell the kids that my retirement plan was to put a windmill over by that house.
Yeah, it's perched up, and you can see when the weather's moving in because you get the view.
And, a lot of great memories there. Yeah. And that woman I told you about who was such a fantastic athlete and became a professional did all of her training there and in Cedardale. Remember before it burned down?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So those are square corners. Like we somehow got it done in those facilities. I don't know their names, but the field hockey and lacrosse teams were certainly generous with their time and space, and we really appreciated it.
Wow. So,
but yes, then we got this wonderful facility in 2017.
and obviously that's probably had to help with the recruiting process.
It
right?
helps
Obviously,
with recruiting. And now that we got the medium one. Remember Craftsman Tools? They had good, better, best. We got better. And it wasn't necessarily that the school was hugely invested in track and field, but the better one has a longer time to maintenance. So it was, and I think the school wanted to do the right thing. They saw that we were going to have a big team. So like our pole vault pits are pretty good. Our throws equipment is pretty good. And our track is excellent. Coach Nugent, before he became AD Nugent, and I think Dell might have helped him with it, but they organized the state championship at Merrimack before the COVID.
Yep.
And that was wonderful for our recruiting as well.
Yeah.
Because
I
kids get to
volunteered
run
there.
there. Oh,
That was
thank
a
you.
great day. That was a great day. That was huge. So many people.
I like to point out that I'm sorry I couldn't be there. I was at the national championship, so I couldn't go. But yeah, we would love to share the facility, and finally the campus is open again.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll get to do some stuff again next spring.
How many athletes, cross country, indoor, outdoor? How many?
There's currently, I counted this morning because I figured this would come up, 132 on the roster.
Nice.
About 50 distance athletes, about 15, maybe 17 throwers, or maybe there's 72 sprints and jumps and 15 throwers.
Did you ever try to recruit from North Andover, or is it just too close? The kids don't want to go there.
I would love some of the great athletes from North Andover, and if I may, this
Please.
isn't necessarily where you want it to go, but I have part of that great experience with North Andover includes a pole vault clinic we did back in the day. Before we had our facility, we had a couple of pole vault athletes. They were mostly women, and we needed to train them. I'm responsible for pole vault, but I'm not a great pole vault coach. I don't know much about it, especially back then. So I brought in some friends who were pole vault coaches. Coach Nugent set up the facility, and some hotshot freshmen like Joe Stout, Danny Flaherty, and Eric Duffy.
And now at Duke, right?
They were freshmen,
Yeah.
and they were just goofy kids, and they were mixed in with my athletes because we couldn't just between the rules of everybody, you have to have a group of people. Anyway, it went great. And of course, Eric Duffy went on to a successful career at Harvard and Duke. And now he stays in touch a little bit with me, which I'm very flattered that he does. And he's back at Harvard as an assistant coach. And he's training. He wants to do a multi. And his pole vault will be fantastic. The indoor multi is only 7 events, and one of them is pole vault. And my memory of that kid is I forget if it probably was a year in the spring. I went to one of the North Andover High track meets, not expecting really to recruit anybody, but I just knew people. You support the team. and I'm a sucker for the sport, right? So I remember him running 400 hurdles, and he had grown into this man body, and he was fantastic. And the look on his face, he still had that childlike face, but he was on this amazing athletic body, and he was just motoring through, probably setting the school record, and went on to big things.
Yeah, that's Eric Duffy, former NAAA scholarship winner, by the way. Yeah, he won the scholarship his senior year.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you also, we talked about at the beginning that you help out with the kids run at the Nights on the Run race.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, which is awesome. Could you just talk a little bit about that? So the kids get all riled up, you get them all excited. Just talk about what goes on there.
Well, my history with that goes back to when my children were very young. There used to be a session called, it was run by Fernando Braz. There was a session done up at the track once a week, and it was training for different people. And I got sent over to help the little children, 5-year-olds or something, 5 to 7-year-olds. So, middle school kids would be getting training, and they'd bring a little sibling, and they sent them over to Coach Conley, and my wife would help. And we just had so much fun playing with these kids. And I was, ready, set, go. And they loved it. So when I had the opportunity to do this, Coach Nugent invited us over, and I brought a bunch of my athletes, and we help the participants in the children's race get warmed up for the meet.
And run, because your athletes lead them around, which is awesome. The kids, the little kids love seeing the older.
Oh, it's a blast. And this is so many more kids, right? We get a big group.
Yeah. And do you bring some of your athletes over
yes.
too?
Yeah. It's a volunteer opportunity for them, and then they seem to love it. They have to get out of bed early, which I'm always impressed when a college kid can get out of bed early.
On a Saturday.
On a Saturday morning.
On a Saturday.
Of a potentially long weekend, I think.
That's right.
That
This year it's a long weekend, yeah.
Yeah, I am concerned because many of them will go home for that weekend.
Yeah.
But I think we have enough local people that we should have a presence.
Good.
And I understand that North Andover High does not have a meet that day. So we'll have more of the North Andover High kids.
A.D. Nugent has cleared the calendar for the most part, so it should be...
It's an important event.
It's an important event.
And boy, is it fun. I just love seeing the kids do the stuff.
Yeah, so just if you could, for parents whose kids haven't participated in the fun run, what should they expect when they get there and they see Coach Conley there with this big megaphone screaming
That's
into
right.
it?
Dave Johns gives me his megaphone, or maybe the sound system. So yeah, we're going through
We're getting a new sound system this week. I think
yeah.
it might be there for the race.
It was hard to be heard last year. So the kids are all in the end zone, and I give them basically the college kids warm-ups, not the complete one, but elements of it. And so my kids are spread out trying to show them how to warm up. But children that age probably don't really need to warm up. It's just kind of fun. I hope it makes it feel like the big time for them. Skipping is just so important for a child that age. So the skipping back is just fun to see. And I hope the parents can maybe stand back and watch rather than jump in. Many of the parents are nervous about their specific child in the mix. And of course, it's really someone's only going to get bumped around if all the parents are in there. And if none of us are in there, then it's just children. Uh-huh. And you should just sit and watch your child, watch the older kids, and then participate. And I think that they have a blast. They get to feel like a big time. And there is absolutely no pressure. It's hopefully just laughing and enjoying. Because that's the best thing.
Yeah. And they love, I think it's great that obviously your kids, your team, they wear their Merrimack track gear. Mm-hmm. And I think that's huge for the kids. They really
right. They don't know what a professional athlete looks like from the sport. Right. So we take advantage of that and trick them to make them think that our kids are the big time.
Yeah. No, it's a great community event. It's like the North Andover 4th of July road race. This Nights on the Run. It's just you get the community comes together. We get a bunch of sponsors who show up. Coffee, maybe some donuts, some unhealthy things.
Yeah.
That's right.
Maybe some bananas. I don't know. But it's great to see all the kids down there, all excited, running, just getting some exercise. Seeing you and your team kind of act a little bit goofy and just getting them riled up and tired for maybe nap time later in the day.
Yeah, children love for people to be proud of them.
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier that my son was at Stonehill. He was the captain of the team, and he had a very successful career. And it was kind of fun that he was the competitor. But why didn't your son go to Merrimack? And the reason is, as his dad, my job is to love him and to tell him I'm proud of him. As a coach, on your best day, I have to say, oh, I love the way you ran. But next time, why don't we hold off on the kick until a little later, right? Like, I'm coaching you. There's always something to work on. I'm trying to help you find the best you. But as a parent, they really want to know that we're proud of them and we love them. So if you bring your child to this race, they're going to succeed.
Right.
They're going to get around that course. And that's a wonderful opportunity for you to tell your child how proud you are of him and that you love him or her.
Wow, that's great. And
Our sport's the easiest one to do. There's no ball, there's no skills. They all have the equipment.
That's it. Yeah, you don't have to buy anything. Yeah. I mean, anything else you want to share about Knights on the Run or about the Merrimack track and field that, for our audience? Or
Oh, I have something fun I want to talk about.
Yeah.
So, remember I told you I was
fun.
I was the head coach, or I wasn't the head coach. I was a volunteer assistant coach at Lynn English High School.
Yes.
And it was when Coach Garante and his twin brother were
Okay.
high jumping. Where did they go? Did they go to Saugus High? I think they did. But they were very good high jumpers, and I love their technique. And they know it. They know I admire their technique. He actually coached with us for a year before he came. And he was working at North Andover schools. He did a year with Merrimack before getting a job coaching the North Andover High. And I love the fact that I've known him since his youth.
Great guy, great coach.
It seems like the track, running, cross country seems like a really tight community just across schools and regions. Just based off of talking to Bill
Steve,
Varney
Eugene.
and Steve, Bill
Rick,
Varney,
Delakai.
Dell.
Yeah, and when Jacob Johns was running for UMaine, I could certainly cheer for him, and it didn't hurt my relationship with my athletes. I don't think I ever had an athlete in his heat. We weren't as strong back then, and he was very good.
And, he was last year's champion.
In the year before, I think.
Was it? Possibly,
Maybe.
yeah.
But I don't know. Any of your guys, they can get two free nights in Boston.
Free night at the yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if Coach Cameron wants that. Plus, are we allowed to? I think they'd have to put it in escrow and take the 2 nights in the hotel
that's right.
after they graduated.
Do a lot of the cross country kids? They also do track. Is that
They all do.
They all do
that.
it. They all
That's
do
a
it.
requirement.
It's
we
a
want them
requirement.
to do it.
Okay.
So they'll sometimes take a little time off. Oh, you asked about our schedule. I can share that. We would love for people to come to our meets in the spring. We don't charge to get in. I mean, the community of North Andover should go to those basketball games in the hockey rink. We now have men's and women's volleyball, and those tickets are free, and the games are exciting.
Yeah.
We're adding a bowling team.
Wow.
They're putting a bowling alley in underneath the church, and we will have a women's bowling team.
Big balls or little balls?
Big balls. It's
balls.
not. It's an
Candlepin.
NCAA thing.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not a local. It would have been cool if it was just.
Candlepin.
We just have to play like Franklin Pierce would be the furthest
right.
you go, right?
St. Abe. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so we do meets starting in December, a couple of meets in Boston, and then when we get back to school, we'll go to Brandeis, we'll go to URI, and then we'll split between. Oh no, then we're going to the track at New Balance,
Okay.
and we'll go back to URI with some athletes going to meet at Boston University. The New England Championship will be at the track at New Balance.
Where's the New Balance? Where's that?
It's in Brighton, right next to where the Bruins
The
practice.
Warrior, next to Warrior,
Yeah,
okay.
so that's kind of exciting. And then when we go outdoors, we'll host 2 home meets. We always do a Holy Thursday meet with some other Catholic schools because they all have the day off.
Mm-hmm.
So we do that in the afternoon. I feel the parents are coming to pick their kids up, so they might as well come early and watch a track meet.
Nice.
And it's easy to get officials on a Thursday.
Yeah.
All right, so then we will have a second home meet the next week, the April 15th. And then we go to Lowell, then Stonehill, then to our conference meet. But those 2 home meets, if anyone's interested in seeing what college competition looks like, it's a lot like a high school meet, but maybe there's many of the athletes are going a little further or faster.
Sure.
Yeah.
But some of the high school kids are still better than what we've got.
Well, I'll say this. when my kids were in the elementary school, I don't know if we still get it now that they're in high school or whatever, but like for hockey, they would always, during that break when there weren't a lot of kids on campus, we would get the emails from the school, like from our elementary school, to say, hey, tickets are free, like go watch the hockey game. And so to the extent that, you or whoever can communicate with Steve, who's now the AD, he can put it in his weekly update. Hey, there's a meet going on over here.
Oh, yeah.
You guys, so that can drum up some, because I mean, it's not that it's that hidden, but it's kind of a hidden secret that Merrimack is a division, like we got literally in our backyard, we have Division I schools. I mean, the basketball team played Gonzaga last year, right?
So, and then Indiana on the same trip. They hit Indiana on the way home.
Yeah, right.
We didn't beat either one of them.
Trick is getting Indiana to come here.
Yeah. But no, I mean, you just based off of how this town, you see the interest in running, I have no doubt that we could get all those kids that are coming here to the Nights on the Run. They get to meet you. Hey, we're going to go see those guys in action.
We would love to see them,
awesome.
even a few of them.
Yeah. No,
and you don't have to come for the whole meet.
Yeah.
You could come for part of the meet.
I didn't stay for my son's whole meet, so.
We get that.
Well, Coach Mark, thank you so much for joining us on the Nightly News podcast. We appreciate you coming in. We look forward to seeing you on Saturday morning, October 8th, hopefully with the new sound system in place so you don't have to use the megaphone, and getting all the kids excited and riled up. We appreciate what you do for that and your team. So thank you again. And that's it. So everybody, thank you for listening. Remember, Nights on the Run, NAAA
NightsRun5k.com.
Either one of those will work. Saturday, October 8th, register. And thank you for listening.